What's up? Happy Monday. This is Ellis,
Eric,
with Vengeful Media. We're here Monday live from 6816 Sunset Boulevard, home of Andromeda Recordings and Monahan Microphone.
Monheim. Say it correctly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
So today we have Chris Phillips, and who else do we have on the show with this, Ellis?
Bert Usher.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into this.
Guys.
Hey, we start now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Who are you guys?
Okay, now pause it there. How are you guys doing today? My name is Bertrand Usher. Some of you guys know me from the previous content on this channel. As you guys know, I'm a 21-year-old Republican. I've been involved with the GOP for the past 3 years, and I stick by my party. A lot of the opinions that they have on the economy, I fully support. But for others of you who watch this content, you also know that I'm socially liberal. So I'm here today to just kind of defend my position and just, get my point across and win. And know off the bat, I am not a sellout. I just have a political opinion. But I did kind of sell myself out.
Okay, go.
That you exist is like a unicorn.
Hi, I'm a unicorn.
All right, my name's Chris Phillips, everybody. I've been active in the media ever since about 2007. Started making my first headlines when I was resisting Bush's war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And then I joined Occupy Wall Street 2011. And we started camps all around the world. And that's when I really got into the media. That led me to Fox News with Sean Hannity.
Sean, aren't you making these innocent Americans out to be a villain right now?
I'd like to think I schooled him and really cut the heart out of the beast from inside.
Let's make sure this is going to be a good debate. We're going to try to keep this sane. No yelling, no fighting, no Antifa bashing, and yeah, so that's about it. So let's get this thing started.
Shake a hand.
Shake a hand.
There we go. Boom.
Awesome. So yeah, first I want to we're going to talk about racism and the BLM movement.
Sure.
Ken, and your thoughts on it?
Well, I would say that the current state of, the reason BLM exists is there's a number of reasons. There's financial reasons, there's social, economic reasons, frustration, anger that people are dealing with, I think, on a number of different levels. The reason it's called Black Lives Matter is largely because so many people, I would say, since Occupy Wall Street, and one of the reasons Occupy Wall Street became so big was because the cameras were then turned on the police action. Before then, it was very rare. It was goes back to Rodney King, and there wasn't as many videos for all the police actions that went down. Now we have more windows in on what they're doing. People are turning their cameras on, turning their phones on, and we can see what they're doing. And so, we saw Eric Garner get choked out. And so everybody experienced that together. And Black Lives Matter largely was born in Eric Garner's murder. And I do call it a murder because it was a murder. It wasn't, a police action gone awry, and it wasn't a murder. No, this is a murder. So, again, semantics have really stood in the way of progress in terms of accountability. And so Black Lives Matter was formed to give, I think, more voice to the frustration. And again, you have that whole conversation about all lives matter and the semantics behind that. And of course, that becomes a very racially charged conversation about how we're now obfuscating the racial plight of people of color. But ultimately, I support the freedom of speech, the freedom of assembly. So I stand behind the people that feel that there is a serious problem, because there is a serious problem. And it's a systemic, economic, social issue that really flows from the top down. And, there's millions of people that are caught in the fray. They're being recruited to go kill overseas. They're being recruited to literally enslave their own ghettos at this point. Whether if they're, the police and the military, the militarized police forces now are becoming so military-like that the ghettos feel, enslaved, and it's just dangerous to even be a thinking American. It feels, I think, for a lot of people. Because of how tense the scenario is and how easy it is to be labeled un-American or even a terrorist based on radical positions like BLM. Or, why is it even radical to think that Black Lives Matter? Why is that radical? Because we live in such a day and age where saying that Black Lives Matter is radical.
Wow. All right, definitely. Okay, Chris, so that's your take on racism in America right now, Black Lives Matters. I appreciate that. Bertrand, if you go ahead and give us your take on racism and Black Lives Matters in America?
Now, off the back, I respect your opinion, man. That's actually really good points. However, my opinion on Black Lives Matter isn't the best. Being an inner city kid, born and raised in an inner city household, there are a lot of issues within the black community. My father, he's Belizean, but he fits the typical stereotype: 6'6" black man, big God. My mother, she's half Latino, but she was born and raised in Compton, and her other half is black, and she was primarily raised by a black family. So, with my life and growing up, I got to see black culture. But I had a very interesting childhood growing up. I was actually able to see two different sides of black culture. One was the black immigrant side, the Belizean side. One was the African American side, specifically pertaining to those who are descendants of slaves. And I noticed something very interesting. In black culture, we have two key problems. It's black on black crime, and it's single parent households. Now, Black Lives Matter, despite everything they fight for, I found it kind of sickening when I went on their website and read up on information about them. And when I read their website, I could not find information on these two key problems. In fact, they completely skim over the single parent household issue, which going to inner city high schools was one of the biggest issues. But to get straight to the point, my opinion on Black Lives Matter is, I strongly believe that they skip over the major issues in the black community. Is police brutality, an issue in the black community? Yes.
Absolutely.
However, the problem is, while it is a problem, if I were to put it in a top 5 list, that would be about 5. Because I've known several individuals who went to Dorsey and Crenshaw who were actually killed. I remember going to the ceremonies at Crenshaw High School, especially in my 10th grade year, after a kid got shot in his head from gang violence. And the thing about this is, it wasn't a cop killing these people. It wasn't a cop killing these kids. It was people that looked like me, people that looked like Eric, people that looked like Ellis. We were killing each other. I lost my cousin when I was about 9 years old. He wasn't killed by a cop, he was killed by a person that looked like me. The reality of the situation is, and I think this is something that Black Lives Matter needs to just talk about a bit more, is that police brutality, while it is an issue, it's not that big of an issue compared to the top 2, in my opinion, which, as I said prior, single parent households and black on black crime. If both of these problems were fixed, I promise you would see an increase in SAT scores within the black community.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Speaking directly to that, those to me are financially systemic issues. Single family households, what does that come from? There's not enough money in the economy. All the money's floating to the top, so people have to get multiple jobs. Nobody's at home. The kids are growing up on TV. This is clearly a problem. What does that feed? It feeds addiction. What does addiction feed? Black on black crime. Now, it's not even about black on black crime. It's just about the fact that people are killing each other over drugs and money. And the program is such that that's what they do. And we're doing it this is the war on drugs. I mean, let's get down to it. The entire prison industrial complex, the war on drugs, is based on racially driven lies from the early 20th century, and has put so many people of color behind bars as part of the 20 and 21st century prison industry now, turning it into literally a profit-driven enterprise where nobody gets called out for what they're doing. But the guys upstate Sonoma right now, do you realize that 1/3 of all California firefighters are actually inmates? Do you realize that they get paid $1 a day for the work that they do? These are largely minorities. The percentage of minorities, I hate to use the word minorities. It's such a BS word. I say that on the record. Minorities is a BS word. The concept of minor and major is a totally programmed concept. Anyway, again, the point I'm making though is that these inmates have become slaves. The 13th Amendment actually legalizes slavery. If you study the amendment, there is an exception clause. The exception clause literally establishes slavery as legal given the judicial system, the legal system in the United States. It says, if you have duly been convicted of a crime, you can be a slave and turned into a servant. And so that's exactly what's happened, except now it's private prison, so people are making billions of dollars to keep these racially driven oppressive laws continuing and largely focusing on people of color because they're the ones that are getting addicted. They're the ones that have the struggle, like largely in large numbers. And I myself as a white guy, now for the record, I'm part Cuban, I'm part Italian, and I'm part, English well, so I'm like half white. But again, like, is that white? What is white? White is this piece of paper, and I just have to make these points. Like, am I white? No, this piece of paper is white. Here is, you know, black set of headphones. My brother over here, is he black? No, that shirt is black. All right, let's make the point.
There's some cutting edge like examples.
So what I'm saying is that all the truth is inherent, and it's right in front of us. This man is not black, I'm not white. What we're doing is we're buying into a dualistic setup, a schematic for how to communicate that is divisive. And so in that polarization, we literally have the fomenting of the second civil war in America. Right now, people, this is the most racially charged era I've ever seen in my 36 years on this earth. And if we do not transcend this coming civil war, and I say coming because I think that the forces at work, the powers that be, have already written this into the storyline. They are using Donald Trump and what is happening to foment a second civil war where it's BLM versus BLM, Blue Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter. Let's be real about it.
Which I think personally is disgusting, that
It's
the
horrible.
media has literally, the mainstream media has literally gone to extent where they place blacks, a color versus black versus blue, or brown versus blue. Don't forget about our other brothers in the struggle as well. But also don't forget about good cops who also have families who are riding around in their car every day because now they have a bigger target on their back because of what the media is promoting. But